Reggie.
Thanks for having me, Patrice. Very excited to be with you.
Yeah, same here. You bring such a calming presence, and I appreciate that aura. I can feel it virtually.
Thanks.
So, introduce yourself to your fellow members in the hub.
Sure. So I'm Reggie Holmes. I'm a founder and creative director for Enthuse Creative. I've been in business for about 7 years, based in Northern Virginia, but serving clients in the DC metro area and all around actually. My specialty is in branding. So I break it down into brand strategy, brand design, and then brand management. So really, I like to help business owners develop their brand from the inside out. And obviously, that involves the concepts around the brand, like mission, vision, values, but also that creative, the collateral that we all like, all the things that are visual that catch people's attention and really communicate about the brand. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So, I'm going to start diving into your approach and how
sure,
you help your clients with a
sure.
few questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, explain how you developed your motto: we work on brands, but we work with people.
Sure. So I say about 2 to 3 years ago, I started thinking about the work that I was doing. And my background is in graphic design. And when I got into business, I thought of myself primarily as a graphic designer. But as I went to more networking events and talked to people about the work that I did, I realized that putting myself in the graphic designer box was a little bit limiting. And I
Mhm.
really got the most value for myself and was able to produce the most value for my clients by positioning myself as more of a strategist as well as a designer. So, a strategist who can design, or a designer who can strategize. Either way, I wanted to be able to bring that dual value to my clients. And so that got me thinking about how do I talk about the work that I do. I felt a little limited when I said, "Hey, I'm just a graphic designer," because I knew
Mhm.
I brought a little bit more to the table than that. So that phrase, that tagline, sort of came out of wanting to position myself as a person who really works with the business owner. And, that's the people part of it. And so I do creative work and do strategy work, but it's always with another person, helping them to take their vision, take their ideas, and then turn that through creativity into reality. So that's kind of where that came from. As much as I work with pixels, I work a lot more with people, and I realize that
Mm,
that's where I get the most joy, and that's where I'm able to
mhm.
produce the most value for my clients. So that's how that came about.
I think that was a smart approach to relationship building
Right,
because they want to know that you care about them.
right.
So that is very smart. So let's go a little deeper. Describe your four-step approach to helping your client.
Sure. So basically, the first step is discovery, where I ask a lot of questions. I realize that when people, so a lot of times I will work with people who worked with designers before they work with me, and they didn't always have the best experience. And I
Mhm.
realized early on that the better questions I could ask, the more I could help my client or the person that was in front of me. And so discovery came about as a result of really wanting to ask great questions that put me in a better position to be able to execute design when it came time to design. So from there, we have design. And so that's the thing that we all love, sitting down, coming up with concepts, coming up with ideas. From there, we deploy, and that's putting those creative designs into action. So I'm sure I'm missing a step, but um, I that's basically what it's broken down into now. I think I've streamlined it over time. So essentially, discovery, asking the right questions, design, creating the right solutions, and then deploy, putting those right solutions in the right place for the right market at the right time. So
Okay.
yeah,
Now, what are some of those hard questions you ask during the discovery phase? Give us
sure.
examples just so some of the members can think about. Should I be asking that question? Do I need to include that so that I can get better results? Because I know from experience, the harder questions you ask, the more insight you gain.
Right.
And the result is more than likely an over the top pleased client.
Right. And that's what we that's what we all want, right? So
Mhm.
um one question that I like to ask is so it's kind of a variation of the same question, but it's essentially what are the things that you want your target audience to say about you, or what should your
Hmm.
brand communicate to that audience? Similarly, there's a question of uh, how do you want your competitors, or how should your competitors um, think about your brand, or envision your brand? And a lot of times people don't think about the competitive space, but the reality is all of us do our creative services or any type of business in an environment where we're not the only ones that do it. And
Hmm.
consumers, customers, they have a lot of options, and so why should they choose your firm over another firm? Why should they go with your design team or solutions over anybody else? And so, thinking about how you want to be positioned in terms of the other people in your space is important. And a lot of times people don't think about that, because they're thinking about the other question, which is, how do I want to feel or perceive my brand? And so they're all important. But in working with clients, what I try to do is de-emphasize how you feel about it. Like, of course, you want to feel great about your brand. You want to be proud of it. You want to be able to point people confidently to your website, point people to your business cards, your brochures, or whatever sort of collateral you have. You want to feel great about it. That's a given. But because you're not alone in your market, you need to think about how your competitors view you, or how you're positioned against them. And most importantly is that client question, because they're the ones that are making the brand related choice. Like, they are the
Hmm.
ones that have an option between you and someone else. And so you want to make sure that the value that you're communicating is clear to them, and that they feel great about your brand, because of course you're going to. So
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's how you get referrals. And that's
right,
how, you grow the business and start gaining traction as well. So I
right.
totally agree.
Yeah, it's really a trust thing,
Yeah.
if I'm a client, I want to know that you get me, that
Hmm.
you take the time to understand who I am, what I value. If you're just pushing how great you are, that doesn't really serve me. It gives me
Hmm.
some information, but I really need to know that you understand my problem, and that your solution is the right solution for me. And so that's what asking those questions really tries to help the client think about, because we want to create designs and marketing material that say the right thing to the right person, that's going to benefit you. We're not trying to talk to everybody. We're trying to talk to your customer. So asking those questions just helps the client focus a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So tell me three important things you've learned in your career that
Mhm.
have been fruitful for you.
Sure. Well, that's a great question. I think one thing would be the importance of sticking with it.
Mm.
When there's a setback. I mean, I got into doing this independently because I was laid off from a job that I really liked, and I felt like I was a valuable member of the team. I added a lot to the team where I was at, and I was good at my job, and my work was well received, and um, I was liked personally. But it, there came a time when I had to move on, and so uh, I didn't. I did other things that weren't creative in nature to pay the
Mhm.
bills for a while, but I always knew, because I believe in value, that I wanted to get back to a place where I was able to provide the most value for people, and I knew that was through creativity, and through strategy, and through design. So Took me a while to figure out the path. It wasn't always straight, but that was definitely a lesson that I learned, and something I try to keep in mind today. I think another lesson would be the importance of having people who have been where you want to go, and
Mhm.
are on the path to guide you, to help you at different times. I, like many people in the group, went to school for design and didn't learn about business, didn't know much
Mhm.
about how all that worked. And so I had a lot of people along the way who helped me, who still help me to understand the whole business side of all this, because um, I'm not necessarily a fine artist. What we do is a little bit different in terms of
Mhm.
communication design. So, um, but it's very much rooted in business, and I just didn't have a background in that. So, the more people that you can have around you that um, have attained the levels of success that you want to get and are willing to invest in you, I think it's important. And likewise, when you achieve and succeed goals, it's important to remember to pass that on as well. So
Yes,
we are are conduits, not containers, and so I
right.
believe in that. Like, as I learn things, as I get valuable information and insight, how can I pass that along? Who can I pass that along to? So I think that just makes the world a better place. It makes the design community stronger and more resilient, and it makes you better at whatever it is that you do. So those are some lessons that I would pass along.
And I totally agree. In the US, the higher education system
Hmm.
is so expensive.
Right.
And then to walk out of that, successfully graduate,
Hmm.
and still not have a skill set that allows you to be um, successful in the marketplace, I think we're owed some refunds, you
Yeah.
know?
Right. Yeah. For sure.
And
Yeah.
so you have to find people who you can trust, like you said, that you can pull on for insight. But you also, and we all have had these experiences, I'm sure, where we thought someone was going to be there for us and help us, but it ended up being a letdown. So we're still searching under several different rocks trying to find that
Right.
person. And I think for the members in this group who are early in their career, I encourage you to really send messages to myself, to Reggie, to Lisa Lipshut, to other seasoned people in the group so you can get insight from those you can trust who are not going to mislead you, because I'm telling you, if we are worth our weight in gold
Yeah.
in our own way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're like a library.
Yeah, I mean, there's a treasure trove of knowledge and skill out there, and the beauty of the world that we live in today is that it's not all hidden um, in the university. There are people that are they learn how to do what we do from the internet, and they've um, gathered skills and equipment and um, techniques and tricks and all these things, and they're great at design and great at those types of things. And so, um, there's a place for the formal education, of course, but
Yes,
I love that people can get better at what they do through technology and through relationships. And so you owe it to yourself to take advantage of all the tools that are out there that can help you be successful.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this last question. What challenges, or I'm just say challenges, if any, have you had during this pandemic?
Sure. Well, that's another great question. I think a challenge that I've had is just honestly staying motivated sometimes. Um,
Mm,
there are days that seem like the same day over and over
hmm.
again. Kind of lose track of what day it is. And there are times where I'm just not as motivated to go out there and, like, okay, well, let me find clients, let me find opportunities, um, let me be creative, because the environment just doesn't necessarily lend itself to that. But I do have this phrase that I'm fond of, and it kind of ties into my business name, Enthuse Creative. Um, but essentially it says bring your own enthusiasm, and
Mhm.
there's a sense of, hey, there's always going to be around you, about you, these things that don't inspire creativity, that challenge you to um, bring your best self to your work every day. And I think that
Mhm.
when that is the case, you have to find within you intrinsically that the enthusiasm to keep going. And for me, one of the questions that I ask is like, well, how can I bring value to some person, some organization today? And it doesn't look the same every day, but I think thinking about that question kind of gets me a little bit outside of thinking about what's not going so great for me personally, and thinking about all the people that are out there and the opportunities that are out there for me to have impact and to um, make an impression on someone, to change their business, to change their opportunities, to open their eyes, or bring awareness about something. So when I think about it that way, there's a lot of opportunities, even when things didn't seem like there was a lot happening. There was a lot that was happening, and it really, a lot of it comes down to mindset. Mindset is not all about I'm creative or I'm not creative. A lot of times it's just how am I thinking about what's going on right now, and I
Right.
realize that I can produce from within enthusiasm and excitement about what I'm doing, even if I look around in my circumstances and it doesn't seem like it's very inspiring. So when I realized that, that helped me to kind of overcome that period of I'm not feeling very motivated or excited about what's happening, or where things are at. And fortunately, things are better in terms of business, and it's grown since the summertime. But that would be a word of encouragement just for anybody that's out there that's feeling like things are terrible right now, and I don't feel the creativity, the motivation. Look within. So.
Because personally, I do different things each day that make me happy. I think about what's going to make me happy.
Hmm.
And so now that the leaves are falling, I went outside and played in the leaves
Yeah.
and then came back in.
Right.
And I had that energy or that surge that I needed to motivate myself to do something else.
Right.
I've done, I had my children laughing at me the other day because I attempted to do bar exercise on the iPad
Okay.
and I was drenched and I was in pain. And I only finished 14 minutes and 29 seconds of it. But I was energized because I did something different to
Right.
take away the monotony and the boredom of just doing the same thing over and over,
Right.
that the commute that I no longer have, you know, the exposure to other things that we really don't have as much of since we're kind of sedentary or
Yeah.
locked in quarantine. So I encourage everybody just think outside the box and think like a kid
Yeah.
and do something to make yourself happy so you can get those juices flowing.
Yeah, and that's where I think like the community, that you put together is really, really helpful as well, because sometimes just connecting with another person is kind of that boost that we need as well. When it's maybe if you are solo and you just kind of work in your space, it can drain you. It can drag
Hmm.
on you a little bit. But sometimes just connecting with someone else and sharing ideas, just sort of talking about the day, going to take a walk, those types of things that you mentioned, you'd be surprised how that can just kind of lift your spirits and just give you a whole new perspective, that's going to aid you in being able to be creative. So
I agree.
yeah.
Well, you all can get in touch with Reggie in the group, but also through his website, enthusecreative.com.
Yeah.
But it's been a pleasure learning more. And let me ask you this. Is there anyone in particular you interested in partnering with or anything like that that you can, just make a statement to the group now?
Sure. So I'm always looking to meet young designers who are looking for opportunities to work on some projects. or who just want to learn more about starting your own business and kind of what that journey looks like. So if I can help in any way, would be happy to do that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Reggie.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast.
All right.
All right.